Tech Garage, presented by RockAuto.com, is brought to you by Magic Creeper, the most versatile creeper ever. NH Oil Undercoating, the official oil-based rust prevention system. And by RockAuto.com, all the parts your car will ever need.
Welcome back to Tech Garage, presented by RockAuto.com. Now, taking off that throttle body was super simple. We just took off the air duct work, unplugged the throttle body connector, and 4 bolts around there, and voila, it was off in our hands, no problem. Now, Dave and Josh, they're over there putting it on right now as we speak. We'll check in with them in a little while. Let's talk a little bit about drive-by-wire and drive-by-cable. We'll start with the old school right here, drive-by-cable. You guys all remember that. The cable's attached right here. You just pull the pedal, and bam, you open the throttle. Well, on the other side over there is a throttle position sensor. And how does that work? It's still computer command control. You can look at this graphic right here and you can see the wide open throttle. When wide open throttle, you're going to have a signal returning back about 4.5 volts, and on the bottom at idle, have about 0.5 volt. And I can actually show it to you right here in action. So if you look at our oscilloscope right here on the bottom, we have about 4.5 volts, and I'm slowly going to creep up the throttle. And as I creep it up, you see about half throttles, 2 volts, 2.5, all the way up to about 4.5 volts, 4.12, and then I release the throttle, it comes down. That's an old drive-by cable system, but what did you come here for? Ooh, technology, Tech Garage, that's what we're all about. Check it out, drive-by-wire, that's what's going on today. You have an accelerator pedal position sensor located right here up under the dash on your pedal itself. So you're pushing your pedal, and when you push your pedal, it's sending a signal to the computer. The computer's then getting that signal, just like a throttle position sensor, almost the same, and there's a couple of them. There's redundance, there's checks, there's all kinds of things going on in there to make sure the car is going to be safe. So I'm pushing that, computer's getting a signal, no connection whatsoever. Then what happens is the throttle body outside, which they're replacing over there, actually gets that signal and runs the motor to open and close the throttle. Inside of there is a pair of throttle position sensors, 2 of them. Sometimes they're opposite of each other, but they're redundant. So we're actually looking at 2 of them. So believe you me, if these guys are not talking to the accelerator pedal position sensor and they're not matching, oop, powering down. You go into that limp home mode, that car's not going to move anywhere. I actually hooked one up here. I can simulate it and show you how it works. This is so cool. This is an actual, let's say this is the throttle position or the actual accelerator pedal position sensor in the car. Got it hooked up to a battery source, and what I'll do, it's actually pulse width modulated. This is not. This is just a variable resistor, like 50% on would be half throttle, 100% would be wide open throttle, but check this out. I can go ahead and I can open it up. Now I can slam it on wide open throttle, bam, there it goes. Or I can creep it nice and slowly. So I can show you as the voltage changes, it's actually running that motor that Dave and I checked over there, and it's opening and closing it. Now check this out. I'll move it to the side for you. You can see on the side right here, these are the actual gearing that's going on inside of there. So as I sweep it open and close, you can see that's actually sweeping. This middle gear is a gear reduction. Man, that is so cool. Now I'm going to shut it off and I'm going to pop this off for you. Let me get this electricity out of the way. And we can actually take this off right here. This is the gear reduction. So this is helping with gear reduction to open and close that throttle because it needs a lot of tension to do that. Now there's the motor. There's the motor that actually moves it. Now Dave had an OL signal on that motor, so I'm going to move it over here. I actually have a DVOM. This one we know is working. We can pull out a DVOM and we can switch that to ohms of resistance. And when we switch it to ohms of resistance, his said OL, we're actually going to go across these 2 terminals. So when we go across these 2 terminals, look at that. We should have a nice reading right there. Okay, I don't know what it is. You'd have to look at the factory service manual, but at least you have continuity or have a connection in that motor so those windings can then spin it and open it. Man, I'll tell you what, only on Tech Garage can you see inside and how it works. I hope that helps you guys out a lot. We need to get over to the Infinity and check in with Dave and Josh.
Man, we're making great progress. Just installed the new throttle body, but before we did that, we had to get all the old gasket material off of it, installed a new throttle body gasket. You don't want to put on a new throttle body without the gasket because it can cause some serious problems with some vacuum leaks. All these electronics do not like a vacuum leak. So all that's left to do, is the 2 top bolts. We did the 2 bottom ones already.
You got it. And we got the 2 top ones on. We just need to torque them here to spec. All right, that one's good.
Nice.
Yeah. We're close on these, I think. There we go. Close,
Awesome.
we're good.
Awesome. I'm gonna go ahead and put this air duct back on. One thing you want to do is make sure that your tightening screws on the clamps are at the top. Once you start to put these on, if they're at the bottom, it's gonna be a little bit more difficult. But after I do this, I'm gonna connect this connector back to the throttle body.
And once we get it connected, we can't just fire it up. But there's actually a learning procedure that we need to go through. These came with the instructions for the throttle body. And this will tell us everything we need to know about getting up and running. We're going to do that a little later in the show, but first up, we've got a little Garage Ed from the professor himself, John Gardner. That's when we come back to Tech Garage, presented by RockAuto.com.